The Germans have an apt and usually long word for most things. The latest is Zeitenwende, a turning point. So why has Europe's strongest economy started to feel, short word, angst? Why is Germany a reluctant empire? Join me, Darasz, for How We Got Here.
Established in the wake of World War I, the Weimar Republic was Germany's exercise in democracy. Never before did Germany have a democratic government, and the country was in really poor shape for governance. Economic instability, hyperinflation, and political extremism marred the early 1920s of the Republic. Though by the mid-1920s, Germany became a key economic hub in Europe. It was due to reliance on foreign investment, particularly from US loans under the Dawes and Young plans. But when American banks withdrew their line of credit to German companies, unemployment skyrocketed. In 1929, the onset of the Great Depression produced a severe economic shock in Germany, which was made worse by the European banking crisis of 1931. The public's grievances boosted support for Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party, who seized power in 1933, dismantling the Weimar Republic. Transformed into the Third Reich, Germany was growing into its role as disruptor of world order, as seen in World War II. The conflict ended in Germany's defeat, occupation by Allied forces, and the country's division. The Federal Republic of Germany became a democracy, enjoying market economy and aligned with the West. Meanwhile, the German Democratic Republic embraced its Soviet overlord's communist ideology with a centrally planned economy. From their establishment in 1949, the republics demarcated the spheres of capitalist and communist influence in Europe. Berlin itself and the infamous wall became emblematic of the ideological rift that defined the entire Cold War. It is during this era that West Germany joined NATO in May 1955 and became a founding member of the European Economic Community in March 1957, marking its peaceful reintegration with political blocs defining global power dynamics. Germany was reunified in 1990 as the Bundesrepublik, with the CDU's Helmut Kohl as its first post-reunification chancellor and SPD's Gerhard Schröder as its second. Schröder's chancellorship saw a break with traditionalist US-Germany alignment, a push for closer EU cooperation and expansion, as well as a build-up of rapport with Russia. In fact, Schröder signed a deal between Germany and Russian state-owned Gazprom to build Nord Stream 1 just days before leaving office. Shortly after his departure, he joined the pipeline company's board. Angela Merkel, who took over from Schröder in 2005, made sure that her predecessor's commitment to Russia was delivered. Finally, she was among the officials who put their hands on the oversized gas valve during the inauguration of the Nord Stream pipeline. While Germany preserved its role as a leader of the European Union throughout most of Merkel's 4 tenures, this image began to fade towards the end of her chancellorship. The foreign policy of the SPD's Olaf Scholz, particularly his cautious decision-making in response to the Russian invasion of Ukraine in 2022, contributed to the perception that Germany's leadership in the European Union had weakened. Now, Germany's presumptive Chancellor Friedrich Merz has made it his absolute priority to strengthen Europe as quickly as possible so that the old continent can achieve independence from the US. Although he makes bold statements, Merz is not a newcomer to politics. He so happened to be one of the leading CDU politicians up till 2002, when he lost the party's leadership to Angela Merkel. Having spent years earning good money sitting on supervisory boards, he returned to politics following the CDU's defeat in the previous elections in 2021 at the hands of the SPD. But it is precisely the SPD that is being seen as CDU-CSU's most likely partner in coalition building. Be it with the SPD or not, Merz wants to have the coalition formed by Easter, that is April 20th, at the latest.
Our guest today is Dr. Konrad Popławski. He's the Connectivity and Regional Integration Programme Coordinator for the Centre for Eastern Studies. Welcome to the programme.
Hello.
The recent elections in Germany, big gains for the AfD. The CDU-CSU party seems to have got into power again. What are the challenges that the new Chancellor Friedrich Merz faces? Politically, is it going to be the same kind of coalition set up, because they have to have this firewall against AfD, and he's taking control of a society, seems to me, to be unsure, to be not a confident Germany that we used to know. Is that an accurate?
Okay, Friedrich Merz avoided the most difficult scenario for him, so he will probably have a double coalition, a very small grand coalition, because normally we were used to have grand coalitions of SPD and CDU totally dominating the whole Bundestag. Right now it has barely the majority. It's safe, but not so strong as in the past. But on the other hand, they have very difficult opponents. They have the largest opposition party, AfD, which will be attacking the government from the right side and also from populist side. And on the other hand, they have Die Linke, left party. They succeeded actually in the end of the campaign, gathering quite a lot of support in internet. And those two parties are supported a lot by the young generation. AfD is transforming itself into the party of workers and also unemployed, these left-aside people. And apart from that, it's Greens, who will probably also try to defend these a little bit liberal, greenish ideas. So it will be very difficult coalition, very difficult for Friedrich Merz to manage the country, which has weakened economy. Let's remind our viewers, actually almost 6 years, Germany is stuck in the stagnation. Last 2 years were even in recession modus. So economy won't help too much, it seems. And there is a lot of challenges ahead, especially fiscal challenges. They have to increase their military expenditures. They have to reform the economy. They have to invest in infrastructure, and there are a lot of budget constraints, so-called debt brake. So a lot of challenges, and we'll see how strong the charisma of Merz is to somehow take those problems under control. And
is he a charismatic politician, or is he one of these kind of technocratic?
I would say he would be tested right now. We know one for sure. He was the personality who was a challenger for Merkel, and Merkel ousted him from this business for years to come, almost 2 decades. And right now he's back on the white horse, but he still hasn't been tested, so we don't know how strong is his resistance. And for sure, he inherited much more difficult situations. So even for a very strong personality, it would be very difficult to govern such Germany. And I wouldn't say that he has been tested so far, that we know already what are his skills. We know that he has very good management skills. He was working a lot for American financial funds, BlackRock, and so on. So he's probably good in management. He succeeded quite well in the business. But if it's enough to manage all those problems we mentioned so far, it's still to be tested.
What was the, just bringing up the Merkel connection, what was the point of friction between these two politicians? You say he was ousted.
It was, I would say, ambition-wise, So Merkel was a woman coming to the very male-dominated party, a woman from Eastern Germany, so from this weaker region which was somehow annexed by the West Germany. And so, she also took control quite in not very friendly manner, the steers over Germany from Helmut Kohl, so this long-year Chancellor of Germany. this legendary Chancellor of Germany who united the whole country. So not to have another male in steers, she had to be quite brutal, and she, as many leaders serving so long, she tried to eliminate from the party two ambitious units like Merz.
Brutal politics as usual.
Unfortunately.
Is it possible to, the AfD, this far-right movement party, is it possible to maintain this firewall for any degree of time? 20% of the people, they're based in the East, you can't really ignore them. Is Friedrich Merz going to maintain this stance, or how is he going to control or to get around this?
It's getting more and more more and more difficult to sustain such wall, such firewall. So AfD is increasing, is strengthening its position year by year. We know that this party is not without problems. There are a lot of internal frictions, but despite that, the party gets really popular, and actually it's actually the most popular party in Eastern Germany. So, and right now, becoming a second party in the parliament, they will get new privileges. They will be steering some commissions. We'll see which ones. They will get also public money for support. And on the other hand, we had, as we said so far, we had this very small grand coalition and smaller opposition parties. And actually, we see already that some AfD ideas are becoming mainstream. This attitude, approach to migration has changed so much into direction of AfD expectations. So actually, I would say that CDU would try to grab some topics to that extent that SPD allows.
Coming back to the voting patterns for the AfD and the other extreme left parties, what was the attraction for the younger voter for these parties? Is it the economy, or is it the position of Germany in Europe, the diplomatic relations it has with the East, or is it purely this economic factor that's driven the support?
I would say that to this pillar of anti-migration movement, AfD added this factor of need for economic reform. And as we see that Germany results performance in the last few years was rather miserable, so this party gets credibility that maybe these mainstream parties, they are not even able, they are not controlling the migration, but not only that, they are not even able to keep our old Bundesrepublik being economic leader of the world, one of the strongest economies in the world. So this radical message that we need to make some alternatives, so refuse some ideas to invent this republic, German Republic, brand new, it could be attractive, and especially when we know in such stagnation and also a little bit recession modus, the younger generation suffers the most because they have this the problem with finding some flats, and this housing problem. So that's why these ideas of some more radical message could be very attractive for such.
How do you think that if we assume that the new chancellor is going to stay, what influence do you think he will have on the politics of the EU and the politics of Germany as a whole? We talked about earlier, before we came on air, about you mentioned that the Germans are kind of engrossed in their own borders. Mm-hmm. They don't think strategically about the wider European context. How do you see that in the next year or two shaping? EU politics?
I'm pretty sure he will try to regain the influence of Germany inside the EU, because during the Scholz tenure there were some losses. The government was not very cohesive, and this lack of cohesion transferred to less influence on the EU matters. There were even a few compromising situations when Germany changed its position in the last moment, because some member of the coalition opposed to some voting. Yeah? So this was not the conduct of the leader of the EU, and because, as we said so far, Germany probably will have many problems at home. So maybe they will try to focus the attention of the society on the foreign issues. There will be some momentum there. We have unresolved issue of Ukraine. We have open question of trade dispute and trade wars, yes, maybe even. So, and we see that this inactivity of Germany was also used quite well by Macron, also by the Brits. So probably Merz will try very hard also to show himself as a leader of EU, because it could also make his position inside Germany more credible, because he's not long-standing leader. He's just become chancellor after getting, yes, to this business, after being some years outside the politics.
I mean, the three great chancellors of Germany I remember from when I was a kid: Chancellor Schmidt, Kohl, and Merkel. They were the big figures in post-war Germany. Is this? Do you see that tradition declining, that now we see lesser figures with a lesser stature?
Yes, I think it comes from structural problems of Germany, because Germany was legitimized by economic success. When this success was there, it was easier to increase the influence of Germany outside. The history also sometimes, yes, helped, like this potential for unification of Germany's. Germany also had quite good strategy how to develop during peacetime, during lack of geopolitical tensions, when it was enough to be trade superpower, commercial superpower. And right now, the situation, the cards on the table are a little bit against Germany.
Well, that's right.
So we have, yes, geopolitical tensions. It's very difficult to get this strong position in trade when you have on one side China, on the other US, and you could actually get a backlash even if they just fight together, yeah?
Yes.
In trade terms.
Last question to Dr. Popławski. Germany seems to come under criticism, as we talked before we came on air again, about doing nothing and about doing something. It seems to be in this position where it's criticized for anything it does or it doesn't do. Mm-hmm. How does Germany, is Germany just going to be the strong power of Europe once again? Is it confident enough to do that? Or do you detect the fact that it's suffering from
I think actually Germany was quite happy about these voices that it should become more active, because it was a nice excuse to come to get out of this status of being country a little bit, untrustworthy after this World War First, yes, World War Second, and they used this, especially during Merkel times, this time well to increase their influence. And right now the secretary of the European Commission is German. We had some Germans on very high positions, which were not typical German before, because of some lack of credibility. But I would say that with this increase of influence, the strategic thinking and responsibility over Europe as a whole hasn't increased. That German society is also a very narrow-minded. They are looking mostly in frames of their borders. We see that Germany is very strongly influenced by the automobile sector. This sector has very strong influence on the chancellor. Therefore, sometimes some strategic goals could be could be ceded to some commercial automobile goals. And actually, this mentality is still too narrow-minded to conduct the whole huge EU.
Dr. Konrad Popławski, thank you very much for coming on to the programme.
Thank you very much.
That's all we have time for today. Join us next time for a new time. That's Tuesdays, 21:35, 35 minutes past 9 p.m. CET. See you then.